Yeah, I don't know how to do it.
For quite a few years now, Italian tuning house Abarth has been helping to create go-faster versions of everyone's favourite four-wheeled fashion accessory, the Fiat 500. But while yes, it might look like a juiced-up 500, this one underneath is anything but. This is the 595 Turismo, and on a scale of slightly unhinged to complete balls-out lunatic, it's somewhere in the middle. So, let's go jump in. Like other Abarths, this car is powered by a 1.4 litre turbocharged petrol engine, the same one that crops up in quite a few other Fiat Group cars. However, this one has been significantly reworked for the 595 with a big Garrett turbocharger bolted on, and the base 595 has an output of 143 brake horsepower. If you opt for the 595 Turismo, which is the car we have today, then you get an extra 20 brake horsepower on top of that, while the top spec Competizione, which is a more track-oriented car, gets a total output of 177 brake horsepower. Not bad for such a small thing, but then it's not all about the power either. You see, Abarth says that the 595 is all about the joy, the emotion, the experience of driving. So what's this roided up city car like whenever you properly put the foot down? Well, pretty darn good actually. Due to the fact that it weighs just a hair over 1,000 kilos, it can really make the most of all that power. It does take the turbocharger a little while to spool up, and power delivery is quite boosty, but once it comes on full whack, the 595 can rocket up the road at a rate that would seriously scare some other much more powerful cars. Pin the throttle and it just scoots away off towards the horizon like an angry little bee, and it kind of sounds a little bit like one as well, with an exhaust note that's far ruder than any car this size has any right to be. Officially 0 to 62 miles per hour takes 7.3 seconds, but it feels a good bit quicker than that due to the fact that it's so small and so light. It really is a pretty hilarious little thing as well, and it'll scurry across roads and racetracks alike, all the while blowing raspberries out the back. I love it! It's quite a firm little car with Koni shocks in the rear suspension to stiffen things up and to boost agility. But while you won't want to go ploughing headlong into any speed bumps, it is a bit more rounded than the top spec Competizione, which gets the Koni shocks on all four corners. On bumpy roads it does tend to toss around and undulate a bit, but it does boast suitably oppressive control in the corners. The brakes bite hard and resist fade well, the tiny wheelbase means that it's eager to change direction, and the steering is accurate enough, even if it does suffer from some of the same numbness, vagueness and artificial feeling as Fiat's standard cars. Pricing for the 595 starts from £15,090, while the Turismo starts from £18,290. Top spec Competizione is £20,090, while a convertible will cost you £2,000 on top of the cost of each model. That puts it about on par with rivals like the Ford Fiesta ST, the Peugeot 208 GTI and the Mini Cooper S. And while I would say that each of those cars individually probably drives a little bit better than this one overall, it's impossible to discount the 595's loud personality. And just as it is for the regular Fiat 500, people who want one of these specifically probably won't even consider anything else. Inside you do get a suitably sporty interior, and Abarth really has gone the whole hog to make this feel just that bit more special than the standard Fiat 500. So for example, you get these chunky and supportive leather sport seats, along with this hilariously juvenile but just brilliant turbo gauge which sits up here on the dashboard. However, there are a couple of complaints that I have about it, particularly in terms of the driving position. I do, of course, understand that the amount of space that you have inside is limited by the small size of the car, but even still. So, for example, for a start, the seating position is far too high, and the pedals are positioned a bit weird, so your feet have to sort of tap them down rather than push them in, if that makes sense. The steering wheel is much too far away and it doesn't adjust for reach either, so in order to be able to grip it right, you then have to sit in a seating position where your knees are cramped away up like this. Oh, and also I keep going for the window button down here every damn time. Anyway, maybe that's just me. Moving on, of course, this is the 595C convertible, so you get this folding fabric roof up here, and the car is also jam-packed with kit like rear parking sensors, DAB radio, integrated sat-nav, as well as a Beats sound system to please audiophiles. The small 5-inch touchscreen is a little on the tiddly side, however there is also the option to upgrade to a larger 7-inch screen. Because the 595 has the exact same dimensions as the regular Fiat 500, I won't spend too much time on practicality, mainly because there's not really an awful lot that's practical about this car whatsoever. The rear seats are pretty small, pretty cramped to sit in and pretty tight as well, while the 185 litre boot has a really small opening and is really only big enough for a couple of shopping bags at best. Anyway, if you would like to know more about the Fiat 500's practicality, you can click on the little I button on the top corner of your screen there. Now, in terms of this car, running costs are actually quite alright as well. Abarth says that it can return up to 47.1 miles per gallon with 139 grams per kilometre of CO2. We haven't quite matched that in the week that we've had it, but we have got in the high 30s, which isn't bad considering that I have kind of been ragging it everywhere. No, it's not perfect, and there are better cars to drive out there, better cars in terms of ergonomics as well, but then the 595 is one of those models that's almost impossible not to love. It's a car for which the term pocket rocket was pretty much invented, and it brings with it a real sense of character and charm. It looks great, it goes great, and it sounds fantastic as well. Sure, it's a little silly, but then isn't that the whole point? Anyway, if you would like to find out more about the 2017 Abarth 595 Turismo, you can click on the link on screen now. To watch another one of our videos, you can click on the other link, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button.